The YaleSites upgrade project is a multi-year project where we moved our platform from a D7 platform to a Drupal 10 platform. And in doing so, we re-looked at our design system. Previously, we had a component library that was Bootstrap-based, and we used it throughout the site in different applications. So part of the YaleSites upgrade project was scrapping that and rebuilding a design system using Emulsify. And then from there, we also totally rethought our content management philosophies and principles.
In the beginning, the early days of the project, our users were definitely kind of skeptical of the fact that you need to rebuild. They were definitely of the mindset of like, it'd be nice if we had a button that could just like take our old site and put it on the new platform. And because we kind of made that shift of, in our old D7 instance, it's just essentially just a WYSIWYG, and you can just throw text and throw whatever in there, and that's what you have. And now we're at a more modular like design system, building with blocks mindset. It didn't really translate that well. So we made the early decision that like migrating our new sites and everything is going to be a rebuild as opposed to a automated migration. And that was definitely a hard thing for our users to kind of conceptualize, especially in the early days before there was much to show. But once we got farther along on the project and we showed them kind of the prototype of what we were working with, it was pretty clear that they were like, oh, I get it. In their head, when they think of rebuilding, they think of rebuilding on the current state of what they have. And that was a difficult experience for them. And when they see the easier, much more modern experience, they were more willing to rebuild.
When I talk to my friends that were Uber users like me that have had to build views, that have bent the CSS to their will, they're like, I have no CSS injector. And it's like, you don't need it. That's the beauty, right? And it took me a while to go. I give this talk whenever people are nervous about the new platform. I was like, you are gonna love it. Because we come from a place where you had to understand what blocks you were building, where the blocks went, and then you needed some CSS to make it look good. And we just don't need that any longer.
So previously in our Drupal 7 platform, we allowed CSS injector, JavaScript injector. It was very much a wild, wild west. You could really do a lot that would harm accessibility and potentially even security.
When I first built on the new box, I thought, this is kind of boring.
Our users were saying that it's kind of boring building on it because it's so easy. Like they're used to running into issues and running into bugs and being able to solve problems, and that's not necessarily a part of the experience anymore. You kind of just have an idea of what you want to build, you build it, and we're happy with boring.
What I'd really like to talk about is more the big picture of YaleSites. And part of that big picture of YaleSites is serving the Yale community. We have thousands of people working on websites, updating websites. Some of them love updating websites. Most of them do not. For the people who do not, it's the 10th thing down on their list. What we want to do is we want to provide them with a service that is intuitive. We want to provide them with a service that is easy to understand and adapt and use and reuse, and make it so that they choose to want to use YaleSites as opposed to trying to break another service into the Yale branding. We want to make it easy for them. And that's what we've done with YaleSites.
It's very exciting when you launch something that's that complex, that robust, and the tickets that you get back, it's not, this isn't working, or I don't know what to do. It's, oh, this is exciting. Okay, can I do even more with this? Like, how do I, what's going on? They didn't have that same intimidation factor that you sometimes encounter when you're switching from an older version of a CMS to a new one. It just felt very fresh and intuitive, and there was a lot that they didn't have to worry about, so they could just actually focus on making the content as good as possible for their audiences.
So that feedback that we would get and collect through the various ways, user focus groups, interviews, and user surveys, we would take that, and it would help us at times determine what the platform is lacking and what we could add to help our users.
The content work that has been done around YaleSites has really changed the perspective of the Yale community on what it means to build a website. So as part of YaleSites, we had to make some hard decisions in the process. And one of the big decisions that we made is that we wanted the system to reinforce good content creation practices. So the aforementioned design system allows us to create storytelling tools for users to express themselves in ways that match the content that they want to share and in ways that are also on brand and have been accessibility tested.
One thing that I've been most proud of with this project is how we're looking at accessibility not only within the front user experience, but then also what does the authoring experience, how is that accessible? And so I'm really proud with all of the work that we've been doing, with user testing and, giving back to Drupal when it comes to like the authoring experience and accessibility. The other thing that I think is just incredible that we've managed to do in this project is that we really have rebuilt the platform in Drupal 10, and it is a product. Like, we have a roadmap, we have a vision for the future. We aren't just going to build this thing and it's going to become abandonware and get dusty, and it's living and breathing. And I think because we have been looking at it as a product, it's really being built for our users.
Like before, I could go, oh, history CSS that with this kind of code, or they use that module to make this little thing. So I'm going to go rebuild it once again over here. We don't have to do that here. It's like, oh, you need that thing? We're going to build it in the component library, and not everybody has that component. So it's beautiful. It is. I can't say enough about it. I mean, and I never did before. I was always the naysayer. I even hated PowerPoint, for God's sakes. This one's fantastic because I know that we are going to bring down the hassle for most of the people who have to build for departments now completely.
The blocks are very flexible. You can change through levers and dials, colors, orientation of imagery, all sorts of different behavior, like with the buttons and just everything, so that you can give it a little bit of a personal touch. So it shows off the potential of the platform and offers a nice structure for users to build off of if they're unsure of where to start, because there's excellent functionality built into the YaleSites platform that allows for cloning of content. If they see a particular page or a section of the site that would really help them achieve their goals on their own site, they can duplicate that and update it with their own content, rearrange it to suit their use case, and then very quickly have a site up and running.
Editing on the YaleSites platform is definitely a more modern experience and easier to kind of conceptualize what you're building, because most of our users aren't web builders. They're not web producers. They're not people who kind of are in that. So where our focus was focusing on the intermediate users, the novice users, because this is like item number 10 on their responsibilities of making the website. So that was very important to us. We wanted to make sure that even people that are teaching history classes can go on and make a website. So that was our goal.
Most of the people putting the content in this couldn't build this anyway, not on any other platform. They just couldn't. They don't have that skill set, and now we've given it to them.
In addition to that, the content that we have in the site as a starter kit for the site, the default content, if you will, we have great example content that tells them about what that feature is, what that component is, and how to use it. And it shows them, like, here are pictures of Handsome Dan, the darndest dog, how to feature Handsome Dan in a photo gallery, how to feature Handsome Dan in cards, how to feature Handsome Dan as a photo on the page, and how to write out Handsome Dan as a headline and text. Maybe your content isn't all about Handsome Dan, but you can go in and understand the system that you're using.
The community's response to the platform has been amazing. There was a site that was just built, and it was built by a one-person team. And when we were asking them questions about the experience and what was it like building a new site on the new platform, she was telling us that she was at her kitchen table working on the site, and her son came over, and he was absolutely amazed that she was building a website, and he couldn't believe how beautiful the site was. Her son was like, "No, you're not building that website."
The YaleSites project team did such amazing work. They communicate so well. Every single person on that project cares deeply about providing the best possible experience. And it shines. You really see it, all of the attention to accessibility, the consideration for bringing the brand to life, but making sure folks still feel like they can really creatively express themselves. Yeah, every single person on the YaleSites project team deserves a shout out.
Working with Four Kitchens was seamless. I mean, I've worked with vendors before, and it can be difficult at times, but there are times where I'm just sitting there, I'm like, oh wait, I'm having meetings with people not at Yale. Like, this isn't an internal project by any means, and the people I'm communicating with aren't people at Yale. There's two teams here working on one effort, and then you forget that sometimes. And I think because you forget it, that means that we're doing something good. There's not a lot of friction or anything like that. So it's been great. It's scary at times because you sit back and like, oh wait, there's gonna be a time where we're not working together, and that can be a little terrifying, but I think that just speaks to how well we work together. I think we got lucky. I think we worked hard to get to that point, so I'm really happy with how that collaboration has worked out. It's been nice.
I think it's improved our workflow, following you all's workflows as well, and being like, this is the best practice for making something that's sustainable and renewable. And we didn't have that in D7, not because we didn't want it, it just grew organically over the years, you know?
Just having all of those minds help us make these really big decisions. And, especially at the very beginning of the project, when we were like, I don't think we truly knew what this was going to be. Like, we had an idea, but you all helped us figure it out, which would never have happened without you guys. So
we've improved, we've enhanced, we know we've embraced new technologies for a really nice platform. YaleSites platform.